it's just, I don't know. So today we're going to be talking about Brandy Davis. I'm just hoping that you guys can ignore the dog. But yeah, Brandy Davis was this young girl out of she grew up in Detroit, in the suburbs of Detroit. Her father was actually a drug dealer. But she didn't grow up in the ghetto, and she says that for most of her life she didn't even know that her dad was a drug dealer. She thought he was a real estate investor. She says that back in the day, people were not drug dealers were not what they're like today, so not very flashy with the chains and the expensive cars and things like that. She was like, her father used to wear a suit, so he just came across as very upper middle class. And then in 1993, her mother was a stay-at-home mom, and she had two sisters, an older sister and a younger sister. So she says that in 1993 their family home was raided. According to her, other people in who she knew in her circle growing up, I guess, were also associated with drugs and things like that. Had incidences where people had home invasions and things like that, because unfortunately when you run a criminal enterprise, you're at risk of other people trying to rob from you and steal from you and stuff like that. So she says that at first she thought that that's what was happening, that it was going to be a home invasion, but then it turned out to be the FBI, the feds. And she says that guns were everywhere. They were put in the corner, in the kitchen, or in the family room. She says her mom ran up the stairs to warn her dad that the feds were here, and then she came down the stairs, hands up, and the feds arrested her mom, her dad, and her mom. But then her mom was later released, and her aunt took her in for a while, and then they went back home. She says after the FBI raid, everything was turned upside down. They searched through everything. So that was when she realized that her dad was a criminal. But she didn't see it that way. She was daddy's girl, and she just kind of felt like an us versus them thing. I guess in her head she was rooting for the bad guy because the bad guy was her family, which makes sense. It makes sense, right? So mentally, but she did start acting out from that time, because she couldn't really process her dad being away. Her lifestyle didn't change. She says the lifestyle didn't change. The only thing is they repossessed the family vehicles, the flashy vehicles. So the only downgrade she said she witnessed in her life was that the type of cars they drove changed. Otherwise, life was pretty much the same. Mom did not go to work and everything, so clearly there was some money stashed aside, or someone who was still supplying them. The thing is, her dad didn't do a lot of time on that conviction. It was most probably about 3 years or whatever. But she said whilst her dad was away, she started getting involved with people on the east side of Detroit. So I guess people who were more involved in the street activity. That's what they call it, street life, street activity, basically illegal or crime activity. And she was drinking and partying and smoking weed and all this stuff. Then eventually her father came back and all that stuff. But basically that's what created her. She developed relationships with these maybe not so good guys. In addition, these were the guys she grew up around. So she So eventually she moved to Atlanta and she got introduced to, or she hung out with, what people now call BMF, which is Black Mafia Family. Black Mafia Family was a drug trafficking ring and a money laundering organization based out of Detroit and linked to hip-hop music. So she didn't, she says that the name BMF didn't come up until they became like a music business, but also see them as a gang until like she didn't think it wasn't like a gang like the way people think about it now. To her it was actually just different guys who used to, she calls it getting money, who used to get money, basically were, you know, kind of higher up in the business, basically just being friends, because these guys, she grew up with them, she grew up around them, so it wasn't something new or strange to her, and it wasn't like she was friends with them because of drugs or whatever. These were just the people that she grew up with, and they were kind of taking over family businesses on their end. And I think that the reason why it didn't happen like that for her is because her father had daughters. So it was just girls, so maybe there was not that push for any one of them to like enter the family business, so to speak. So she started dating this guy called Magic. She was 19 and Magic was in his 30s. So there wasn't a significant age gap. Magic was a pretty powerful drug dealer, you know, made good money, and you know, he kind of stepped in and started taking care of her, and he bought her a house, like a $500,000 house in Atlanta, and she introduced him to her dad, and her dad was kind of like, you know, when you're with him, if you're gonna be with this guy, he's taking over and he's gonna take care of you, not me. Remember, she was daddy's girl. And she was like, yeah, cool. And the dad approved of Magic, right? Because he was in the business already. And oh, one other story that I wanted to mention was back in the day when she was starting to kind of mess around with these guys. There was one thing about having these earphones in is you start hearing way more than you should hear. It really keeps you out. So she says that there was a time when one of her and her boyfriend were involved in a shootout, and instead of feeling scared, she felt like it was exciting. The guy didn't involve her specifically in the shootout. He told her to go another way. He got into another vehicle and he drove and he chased down the people who were intending to shoot at them in the house. And she says that she felt like she was with a man who could protect her, like who was about that life. And he was no punk, which honestly, as much as you might like to respect those kind of guts, at the same time just realize that someone's reckless with their life, and they're gonna be reckless with yours. But anyway, that's what she was thinking when she was young. I think she grew up. So her and Magic were together for a while, and then in the year 2004, Magic's house got raided. So basically in the early 2000s, what happened was, in 2003, members of the BMF and one of Buffy's bodyguards and friend got into an argument, and they shot each other, and Buffy's bodyguard, I think, died in that incident. And the thought process that everybody had was that you can sometimes get away with, this was the opinions in the interview that I watched, was there can be people getting away with drug trafficking he was on the run for a while, more than half a year, without getting caught. And then one day they raided her house, Brandy's house. So she describes it and says that he used to stop by at her house here and there, like drop in, drop out, drop in, drop in, and drop out, as he's moving around, basically trying to avoid getting caught and getting arrested. But that day, he was at the house, and the place was surrounded, and he got arrested. He tried to hide, but they found him. And he got arrested. Brandy was pregnant at the time, and but she also got arrested, and she got charged with possession of marijuana, because they found marijuana in the house, and because it was her house, she got charged. So while the raid was happening, when the cops were at that door, the cops were outside, they were not coming in, they were not breaking in. And so she called her daddy's little girl, she called her dad, and her dad was like, if they're still outside and they haven't gone in yet, it means that they don't have a warrant yet, so don't open the doors and don't let them in, and just stay inside. And also, so they were kind of stuck inside for a little while, and then eventually, I guess the warrant came through, and they got in and everything, and they raided her home. And as soon as she called her dad to let her know that her mom got on a flight and came through, and by the time she was in jail and getting booked, her mom was already there to bond her out. And since Magic had been on the run, he was considered a flight risk, and he was not given bond, so no bond for him. So he was stuck in jail until he was sentenced to prison, and he ended up getting sentenced for he was facing life, and he got sentenced for 19 years. He pled out, and he got a plea deal for 19 years. So you can imagine now Brandy is pregnant, and her baby daddy's in jail, in prison. And so initially he was extradited back to St. Louis, and she would kind of go back and forth, but then he was transferred to Atlanta, which is where she lived, and they would see each other as often as she can. She used to go to jail and everything. But then he passed away within the year of being in prison, and now she just didn't have anyone. She was just all by herself. So that closes the chapter of Magic from BMF, and eventually all the guys from BMF got charged around the same time. They got arrested, and that was the end of BMF, the BMF era. So it's in early 2000 era, and they are somewhat famous, infamous, because they were associated with music. With music. So this is now the beginning of maybe her story and how she became a Queenpin. She met JT, this guy called JT. I think JT was based from a different city. He wasn't from Detroit, but I forgot it now where he was from. And she met this guy, and they started dating. They used to be kind of friends at a certain point, even when Magic was in prison. After Magic had passed away, for her baby shower, he gifted her indirectly $5,000, and so they met, and eventually they started dating. I have a little bit of I'm not quite sure whether she was now in Detroit or she was in Atlanta at this point. It's very unclear. But she met JT, they started dating, and is in college and she wants to make extra money, so she offers to be a runner for the drugs and the money. So she would get the drugs, get the money, get the drugs, go back and forth between the money and the drugs for them. And her name was AJ. Brandy says she wasn't really for AJ doing the business, but AJ had access to JT. So in having that conversation with JT is like, yeah, hell yeah, we're gonna employ you. And one evening, JT got arrested with 30 kilos of cocaine on her because she was stopped by the cops and she gave them permission to search, and they found the cocaine and they arrested her. And she decided to cooperate with the police to investigate where the drugs were coming from and basically set up JT and Brandy. So she went and she did a drop like she normally would have, and so they would switch cars, is how she described it. So she would switch cars. You get out of the she got out of the car that she was in, and JT got into the car with the cocaine, and boom, police were everywhere. She says they came out of nowhere. They were everywhere, slammed them on the ground, arrested them, arrested both her and JT. And eventually she takes a deal and she ends up going to jail for like 9-10 years, right? She's in state prison. And funny enough, apparently AJ, when she was being asked, she pinned it all on Brandy and not on JT. So JT kind of got out free. Oh yeah, Brandy did get bail. She did get bail, but then she eventually turned herself in and took a plea and went to jail, went to prison. And while she was in prison, JT got arrested himself, and he's ending up cooperating with people, and he starts snitching on Brandy's dad. So just a little backstory on that. When JT started dealing the drugs, moving the drugs, she felt like she had to tell her dad, like, this is what she was doing. So her dad kind of stepped in so that she wouldn't be as involved in it, and he got back into he was in the business. He stepped in with JT, and so when JT was now snitching, he snitched on Charles Davis, who's Brandy Davis's dad, and he snitched on Brandy as well. He basically was trying to get the lowest sentence he could get, so he cooperated as best as he can. And Brandy says that she felt so guilty because she felt like the only reason why her father had associated with JT was because of her, and now he was gonna have to go and do more time because this guy was snitching. Her father was in his 60s and he had to go to prison, and he had a sentence of like 8 years, but he also had dementia, and because he was in prison, it deteriorated very quickly, and after a few years he passed away. He only served 3 years, and then he was released on compassionate release. So compassionate release is when you release someone because they're definitely dying and they can go be with their family in their last days instead of being in prison. So he was released on compassionate release, and he was sent back home, and he passed away, and she was in prison, so she didn't get to be at the funeral, but she did talk to him as he passed away. She used to have this thing called a video visit that she could do in prison, and so she did that. But while JT was being caught on his conspiracy to distribute drugs, he snitched on her, and so the feds She broke generational curses because her father's involvement in the criminal world got her into the criminal world, and the fact that she's separating that from her son is good, disassociating from all those people. Of course, the age-old saying that if you live a certain lifestyle, you're gonna end up dead or in jail, and that's that on that. So that's the story of Brandy Davis. She is BMF affiliated, and she's a Queenpin in her own right, and now she's living life clean. And I got all of this from a Vlad TV interview she did. So yeah, what did you guys think? I think it's crazy that you can live a certain life and never have any interaction with some of the stuff, and then there are people who are born into the life of crime. So let me know what you think, and I'm gonna put a disclaimer in the description so that people